That then comes the how, because a lot of people have also asked this question. You know, we look at the pool of candidates sometimes and you wonder, is this really the best we can come up with? And most people want to know that we can do better. But the how is always the question. You can't take away the fact that illiteracy, poverty, a lot of those things are rampant in our country. And these politicians know how to feed off of that to stay and keep the status quo. How do we then, like you said, as citizens, start demanding when we don't even have the capacity to?
Okay, so I am one with this understanding that citizens are only powerless to the extent that they have conferred powerlessness on themselves. When citizens act together, they are formidable and powerful. The entire political class is less than 1% of our population. The electorate in this society, the ones who vote in our society, are much more than some 50%. We should get to some 70% of our population. However, what has happened is that we have allowed 1% to make the rest feel powerless. The less than 1% are supposed to govern in order that the quality of life of the rest would improve. But what has happened is that politics has become an occupation. And so they govern only to the extent that it benefits. So what do? What you do is that you start the process of education, the enlightenment that says to citizens, you have an office, and that office is the office of the citizen. The office of the citizen should be an active office where you, as a citizen of Nigeria, you understand that the only way that leaders are chosen in a democracy is through the ballot. So we're going to organize citizens in the way where they have the tools of leadership criteria. They would look at each person that they are voting for, that they're going to vote for, even before the voting starts. That's why we're doing all we're doing with the engagement with the public. Before the voting starts, before the parties begin to sort of say, oh, these are the candidates that we're putting forward, the citizens are going to be saying, if you put low-quality candidates on your ticket, you already lost the election, even before the voting started.
But is this realistic, though?
It is.
Looking at, I mean, I can see how this sort of idea would flourish in a Lagos or Abuja or Port Harcourt, the urban centers. But the majority of Nigerians still reside in rural areas where these are not realistic sort of notions for them. They still thrive in elections with, oh, they get 500 naira or a carton of noodles, and they vote for whoever gives them that. How realistic is this movement?
So the way that we have looked at it is we are engaging all the way to the polling units across the country. We already did regional launches of the Red Card movement in we did in Abuja, we did in Jos for North Central, Gombe for Northeast, Kano for Northwest, Port Harcourt for South-South, Enugu for Southeast, and Ibadan for Southwest. We're going to do state launches of the movement. We're going to do local level launches of the movement, all the way to the polling units. And guess what? We called for people who would volunteer as translators of the message of the movement. And 74 Nigerians signed up to translate the message of the movement in the various languages that the rural areas need. One of the things that I found in going out to the local places when we traveled across the country was a strong appetite on the part of citizens to really get good governance. Now, there's this connecting the dots where citizens, where these people are saying that if they voted for the right kinds of candidate, they wouldn't be the candidates that spend their time building empires for themselves. They are beginning to understand that if government works, then the health of their children will be better, the education will be better, the ecosystem in terms of critical infrastructure that they need in order to do well, even if they were people in the agricultural belt of the country, they understand that now. So they are seeing that connection. We were not engaging these people. We simply did, as you said, they are not educated. What can we do? It's daunting. Let's just leave them alone and let it be so. I don't think it should be so. We must make an effort. And this is a citizen's effort. So if anybody asks you, what is the red card movement about? Is it a political party? You have to say, no, it's not. This is a citizen's movement to consciously engage citizens in a mindset shift so that they see how powerful acting collectively. I want Okija, for example, I want the Okija people to get to the point where if political parties bring all kinds of jokers on their ticket and they are floating them, these are the people that would be on our ticket, Okija people would already say to them, Oga, red card if this fellow is the person you think that should be coming to govern Okija. Red card. Because for Okija to grow, according to what we see of research, for good governance to be given to Okija people, the person that you get into office must possess character, their ethical construct. They must have competence, skilled in the knowledge of statecraft, and then they must have capacity. They must be, if they don't have these three as, indivisible attributes, it's difficult for them to perform.
All right, we're going to take a break now. When we come back, we'll try and shift gears a bit and talk about, the Bring Back Our Girls movement and why you keep dodging the fact that you need to run for political office. And we'll find out all of that and more when we come back. Please stay with us, don't go away.